There's always something that needs a little fixing on Farpoint Farms.
Hey guys, it's Eric, owner of Farpoint Farms here in the mountains of North Carolina. Today, I think it's part 9, it might even be part 10 of the Volkswagen Rabbit pickup truck saga. I have owned this thing now for, what has it been, 3 years?
Rough 2.5, 3?
2.5, 3 years, yeah, getting close to 3. The first year I bought it, I drove it home. The second year, I drove it a little bit here and there and did some work getting it very reliable. Last winter, rebuilt the engine, swapped out the transmission for a better transmission, and this year I've been kind of daily driving it. If you followed the series on my other channel, well then this is kind of the intro to all that stuff. This car has been awesome. I've enjoyed driving it. We've taken some trips in it. I went this close to going up to MK1 Madness, which is a rabbit get-together that happens in Pennsylvania every year. I was going to drive it up there and camp out. However, family issues kind of took precedent, so I wasn't able to go up there for it. But I would feel safe driving this thing anywhere on the planet, and it's just been a really great car. So we're going to do a quick walk around. I'll show you some of the last modifications that I've made to it. But honestly, there hasn't been a whole lot of changes since last time, except the mileage continues to climb. So let's take a look under the engine, and I'll show you how that's holding up.
All right, here we are. If you remember before the winter swap, this was all that blacked out look that they put those insulation on there, and I cleaned all that off, and then I painted it with a real close color of silver. Actually, it came out really well. Other than that, not a lot has changed since installing the engine. I've been blessed. There have been no failures, no leaks, no anything. The EGR delete has worked out well. The replacement of all the lines has worked out well. The distributor is good. This one's been upgraded to electronic ignition at some point in its life. The CIS, this is like the most pure version of CIS Basic, and it works flawlessly. I just really enjoy using this system because it has no EGR, or I'm sorry, no ECT, no O2 sensor, no frequency valve. This is just purely mechanical, and it works. In fact, I always have felt that the basic CIS system in this particular model was the best fuel injection system that I've ever seen in any production car ever. And that's saying a lot, because I've seen a bunch, and I've seen some really reliable ones, but for the sheer fact of simplicity, this one just takes the cake. Transmission, new 5-speed tall overdrive FF transmission is working great. Been real happy with the extra miles per gallon. I'm now getting about 31 to 33 depending on the road conditions. Haven't done a lot of highway driving with it, but when I do, I was able to squeak out 35 on the highway, which is really nice. These fog lights have come in extremely handy. They were like $17, I think, for the pair on Amazon. I installed those, and I do a lot of driving. I go in pretty early in the day, usually about 5 o'clock in the morning, so the sun's not up this time of year. And those help an awful lot to light up the edges and make sure that I'm not about to run into a deer or something like that. Also, the headlights have been upgraded to H4 bulbs. They're just empty holes basically now where the H4s go into instead of having the sealed beam look from the olden days. You will see some paints come off there and over here. So this hood was painted by spray paint before I bought it. You can see this darker area used to be a blue racing stripe that came up and over this thing, and that was all done before me. So at some point I'm gonna have that hood taken off and try to color match it, and I'll paint that up. These wheels and tires have held up extremely well. I've got about, I don't know, maybe 15 to 18,000 miles on them. I have to look at the odometer, but those Avenger GTs that I picked up when I arrived home from my picking it up, when I drove across with it, those have held up extremely well. They're not really a name brand or a high performance tire, but the tread is a really aggressive tread for a street tire. And so I don't feel too uncomfortable trying to come up the driveway, even if there's a little bit of snow on the ground. In the back here, the biggest change you'll see is I added this box here, and that's a temporary thing. I need to do some work at a job site, and I just needed to hold more tools and stuff like that. So I picked this up. It fit an S10. Obviously, it's a little big for the Rabbit truck, but it fits, and it works nicely. Had to modify it a bit to get it in there, but you can see it's doing its job. And the bed liner's held up really well. I've been happy with that. No new dents, new scratches, so been working pretty good. The car needs a wash really badly. Here in the back, Underneath, I've got my 1 7/8 inch ball hooked to the back of the bumper here, and I have done quite a bit of towing. My wife and I have a small boat, which maybe someday I'll introduce you all to, and we take that boat down to the lake near us a couple times a year, and that's been kind of cool. So this thing hauls it no problem. Granted, not a very big boat, probably less than 800 pounds for the trailer in the boat, but does fine. I also have a 4x6 trailer that I'll use when I go to job sites occasionally. You hook that up to it, and it definitely notices it's back there. But that 1.8 engine producing just right around 100, maybe 105 horsepower, does a pretty darn good job of keeping this thing on the road. Of course, the 102 whip for the CB is still working well. And this side's pretty much the same as well. The inside, and I'm sorry that it's full of stuff over here, but I've been working. The inside is held up really well. I've got the seat covers that I used to have in the Mirage on the seats, because I did replace those crummy seats that, well, I know people love them, but they were the, gosh, what's the name of those seats? Recaro seats. Can't stand them. They were so uncomfortable. The Recaros are made for young people. Let's just leave it at that. So I swapped them out with a set of stock seats out of another Rabbit. They were a different color, but just threw the seat covers on. Maybe someday I'll have them reupholstered. They're a little bit dirty underneath, but they're not terrible. Gauges are all still working great. Speedometer, odometer, fuel, and everything just works fine. CB's still functional. So I wish the glove box was a little bigger, but other than that, I've got very few complaints. Windows and vent windows are working good as well. She does get a little moisture in it, and it's coming from the back windows here. You can see there's actually some moisture this morning, but it's coming from somewhere back there. I haven't really spent the time to figure out exactly where, but I will need to fix that so we don't end up with floor damage. So I guess that'll wrap it up for today. Would I buy it? Would I recommend other people buy an ancient truck like this or a vintage car to try to fix up and then actually drive? Certainly. If you're mechanically minded, I think it's like almost our duty to bring these things back from the dead sometimes. It's all about restorations and repairs here on Farpoint, so you know that already, but yeah, having this is like hits like a bunch of different needs in my life. First, I get to drive the car that I was driving when I'm 16 all over again. Yeah, sure, maybe the VIN number's not the same, but for the most part, this is what I grew up with. The first one of these I had for 13 years, and I had about an 8-year period with no Volkswagens in my life, and now they're coming back. In fact, they're coming back hard and fast. So, yes, I would definitely say go ahead and find that old car that you grew up with that you miss, fix it up and keep it on the road, because you might be the last person that's really interested in that particular model. I myself am kind of into those weird economy cars, so it's hard to find a Daihatsu Charade that's still floating around and then get that car back on the road. So if you're looking for one of those, you might want to start looking right now. The other things I would say about this that I really have enjoyed is the fact that it's a truck, man. I mean, I use it as a truck more often than I use it as a pleasure car or just a daily driver. I use it to haul stuff, so it's been really convenient to have the classic car that I wanted also happen to be a useful car. And I do get a lot of people that stop me and talk to me about this car, people who want to buy it from me. Also, a lot of people who are kind of like, oh man, you need to take better care of that thing. And I do take great care of it, but I do use it as a truck. And so you see somebody at the Lowe's or Home Depot parking lot while you're loading up bags of cement, and they're like, that's a classic car, stop that. But they don't understand, you know, you can have a classic and still use it as what it was intended to be. And that's what I intend to do. I guess I'll leave it at that, my friends. I'm Eric, the owner of Farpoint Farms, Restorations and Repairs, right here in the mountains, North Carolina. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't seen the other videos on the old Rabbit truck, eventually I'll get around to uploading them here on this channel, but go check out the Farpoint Farms main page there on YouTube and find out the history of this fine car. Take care.